What is up, everybody? Welcome in to Live with Fast Eddie Fear Wednesday. So I'm not Eddie Fear, but my good buddy Eddie joining me here. We've got the Superdraft logo. We've got the Superdraft blue going on down here in Texas with the LEDs behind me. Eddie, I've made it 15 days without talking while muted, hoping to keep that streak going. But
I saw your sign. I enjoyed it. It's important to be entertaining, to appoint your space well, and to be self-reflective on things you can improve as an employee.
Well, how you doing, man? We haven't seen you on the airwaves, I think, since last Wednesday.
Yeah. Solid
So,
I did not crash. So I am going today, and again, basically the night after tomorrow. You and I have my first scheduled in the history of my 1,000 streams. It's only like the second one I've pre-recorded, and it's certainly the first one I've done at midnight, where I will be in the air when the basketball. Well, let me rephrase. If there is a noon game on Saturday, by no means a certainty.
Yeah.
I will be in the air when that game tips off. So we are going to pre-record with as much news as possible. We could do it at a normal time, but because I expect shit to be just exploding all throughout Christmas Eve, we're going to record at the stroke of Christmas. As it flips Christmas, for me, we'll be on the air probably when you get there, but at midnight for me, 11 p.m. for you. And our producer, Tom, nice enough to come in. I'm disappointed I've been live on Christmas. I want to say 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
Going to do a slate pre-recording here. Family comes first. Have to go to Mexico where all the best drugs are available right over the counter.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out our neighbors to the south. And on Christmas Eve, we will be on the air as Santa is in the air. But Eddie, today we had a 6-game slate originally, and one game, the Chicago and Toronto game, postponed. So we still have 5 games sitting in front of us, and not a lot going on here. Not a lot of news to sift through. And oh wait, it's December 2021, so we have all the things to sift through. But we've got about 90 minutes to do
90 minutes in 5 games. So as opposed to our normal Wednesday, less news, but 11 games in 51 minutes. I feel like we're in an advantage.
Yes, so I guess we can go ahead since we have the time and so much news to go through. I think because our typical, dovetailing through those massive slates we've been dealing with every Wednesday with the short slate and so much news. I think, we did get the paywall show with Kyle and Tenacious D, and those guys were great as always. But I think a game by game could serve us well here, and we should have some time left over at the end for questions and any other news that comes out, because we certainly, I think the phones will be buzzing, the notifications will be dinging, so to speak, leading up to lock here. So does that sound good to you?
That sounds excellent to me.
All right. Well, we've got 2 games that tip off at 7:30 Eastern at lock. Orlando at Atlanta, Cleveland at Boston. Which one would you like to start with?
I guess let's do Atlanta at Orlando so we can get a first take in there, because more stuff will get interesting as the slate goes on, quite possibly. Again, we just found out that Please Hammer Don't Kevin Huerter is going to be out for that game. That obviously really thinning out that backcourt. It allows us to. Now, again, I don't think there are any current sites in which you can play Lance Stevenson. I consider this a failure on a societal level. Like when we can't balance the budget, that's the same thing as when, Lance Stevenson isn't available to be selected. This might be his only game. Like I'm just saying, this could be the last time we get Slick Lance on the court. But Lance, Joe Johnson, I'm enjoying the pandemic, as should you. It's it's fun. B, it's like going to a big 3 game. We've got a lot of the same players going right now, and it's good for DFS. I think you can spot bad NBA DFS players, many of whom are very good DFS players, when they go like, "Oh my God, with all this news, I hate DFS right now." That's a pretty staggering cell phone, because like random news, there's 2 types of news. News that's random, just guy is out of the fucking blue, which happens just randomly. I don't know, Drew Holiday won't play tonight. Just shit happens. That wouldn't be quite out of the blue because there's some stuff going on there. But if that happens, that shouldn't bother you because that's random. And over time, you should break even on that. It sucks on the night it happens. Don't get me wrong. When you have a perfect lineup and then a guy who just happened to not play and everyone else has fire, that sucks. But that shouldn't concern you if you're a good player over time. You should know that at the worst, you'll break even on that. And then there's news which you can be at least a little bit prepared for, which if you're paying attention and have an IQ that cracks triple digits, should benefit you. Like you should know which teams have infinite, like it's kind of ironic that the Oklahoma City Thunder, which have been playing the entire year with not ready for NBA players, are the healthiest team and have Lidley's around in the locker room. Like that's objectively funny for me. Like who would they bring up? Would there be junior high school players? Would there be WNBA players? I don't know what would happen if they got like, do they have a G League team? I know they do, but my point is the rest of the news isn't random. And again, more news is better. So again, people who play NBA DFS like every other sport and are like, oh my God, news came out at 6:55. I'm so upset. Yeah, they're not good at betting. Like handling that news and changing your bet for that news and doing that correctly is more important in this sport than any other sport. And if you're good at it, you should like it or at least not despise it. If you despise it, your process is fucked in some way and you shouldn't play NBA DFS because you should want more news. MOAR, more news.
Yeah, and you talk about the Thunder being one of the teams that's not affected by the protocols right now. My Spurs also not affected by the protocols, which Eddie, I don't know if you knew, is preventing us from seeing some Devontae Kaycock being called up from Austin to play for San Antonio. So that's unfortunate, but we have had Jock Landale's kind of explosion onto the scene over the last couple of days.
A big Aussie beater,
Yeah. He, in his own words, he can shoot the piss out of it. So, obviously I managed to work in the Spurs nearly every single stream, but let's focus here on this Atlanta team to start. I think the only news we're waiting on still is Bogdan Bogdanovic is a game time decision, but was listed probable, I believe, before that tag. So we also got the Kevin Huerter news during the previous stream. He has joined the protocol. So maybe that's good for Lance on Christmas Day, Eddie. Like maybe a couple other guys are going to get hit, put in the protocols here, and maybe we see some Lance. But I don't think he's really on the menu today, but a lot of great values. So I guess pick a player, start me off with the Hawks.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is all going to come down to ownership questions because like all the Hawks look pretty good. Or when I say all the Hawks, well, we'll go 5 Hawks. We'll go with what I think might end up being the starting lineup here. We'll go with what I think might end up being the starting lineup here, which would be Delon Wright, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Cam Reddish, John Collins, and Gorgie Dieng. All 5 of those players appear to be, depending on how often I refresh the button and refigure out my projections, end up being in, at the worst, the top 12 players I have on the slate. So how much of this Hawks team to play and on whom to focus and where we think the ownership is going to land, and I'm flipping through a lot of sites right now and watching a lot of chats and trying to figure out where I think people are going to land, is an interesting question. So I'll start talking about Gorgie Dieng.
Sure.
So I'm run one more projection here. So it is tricky because he projects as, for me, with what I think the aggregate number of minutes are, the second best player on this team. I actually have Cam Reddish projecting slightly higher as far as a value play and as far as having a few more fantasy points. Like Cam Reddish for me projects for about 34 minutes and about 29 fantasy points. I have Gorgie Dieng right now for 24 minutes and 26 fantasy points. Now that's very, very good for $3,100, but it comes with a non-irrelevant. It comes with a few caveats. So my Gorgie Dieng caveats would be the following. 1, I don't think we're certain yet he's going to start, but he's going to start.
Yeah.
2, they actually have a surprising number of guys to throw out there at center, which is something to discuss. They're going to have Gorgie Dieng. They're going to have Onyeka Okongwu. They're going to have John Collins play some center in a game that's going to go really, really small. Like, there's no Mo Bamba, and now Wendell Carter Jr. is out. This game could get really small really fast, and both of these teams have a couple more little guys that they can throw out there as opposed to pressing that necessarily. So you may see everyone slide down a little bit. So long story short, I think Dieng starts. I have him projected for, I think, 24 minutes the last time I hit the button. He looks extremely good, but he might be the most popular player on this team. I don't think he is. My guess is he comes in a little behind both Reddish and Wright. But I don't have the greatest sense of ownership. There's obviously a million moving parts. I don't get to do this as often as I used to, so I'm trying to glean as much as I can right now. But if there's going to be like 62% Gorgie Jang, I have a feeling I would want to come in less there. They are going to play, again, at least two other players at center, I think, or very likely two other players at center where they're going to play Onyeka Okongwu and John Collins. And also you're going to see, what's his nuts? You're going to see Jalen Johnson in the rotation, which is, and the final caveat, which I forgot to mention previously, is the Hawks are on a back-to-back. So they have even a little additional incentive to take it easier on veterans. And Gorgie Jang is, I think he had 4 years at Louisville. I'll go Gorgie Jang is 28. Give me a shot on that one. No, he's not, don't get me wrong. He doesn't have too many miles on the tires. He can be fine.
Sure.
But there's a number of ways in which I expect that. So he's going to project fine. But is there an easy to see way in which he could play 18 minutes? Yeah, and center's pretty valuable. So I have a lot of thoughts on the Gorgeous Dong. What say you? And how old was he? How did I do on that?
The Gorgeous Dong is 31 years old.
Jesus Christ! I forgot he debuted that early. God,
yeah,
dude, 4 years in. I saw him play at Louisville.
Yeah. And then 2013 draft.
Early 17 draft?
2013.
2013. I was about to say 17.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough. Like, I really don't think he's going to get anywhere near that ownership.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's too many other center plays on this slate. Like, even on the sites like DraftKings where you can play two.
That's what I'm
you've got. Yeah, you've got Jokic. You can play Collins there. If Christian Wood sits, you're going to have some Şengün love. You've got Robin Lopez now with Wendell Carter Jr. out. You've got Boogie Cousins. I just think there's going to be enough center plays that pull ownership from him. I do think that, and I know Kyle hasn't. He just updated, so I'll refresh Kyle's projections. I assume now Kevin Huerter will be out, so we'll have some updated ownership numbers. But the Dong was only pulling 10.5% ownership in the previous projection, which I thought was a little bit low. But we'll see what Kyle's got working now.
I've seen a projection as high as 61%.
That's too
high. I would have him in the mid-40s is where, again, I have him third. I think he's less owned than Reddish and Wright.
Yeah, and so now,
like,
Kyle's updated numbers came in, and now he's at 33.5, which I think is more where it is going to land.
I will take the over on that. I think he gets into the 40s. I just think he's going to get announced starting in his $3,100. And the matchup is fucking brilliant. Like, if I'm talking the pros and cons, I should discuss the pros. This is really good. Orlando is a really good DFS player. So that's sort of where I'm landing. So we need to, wait for some news there, and depends what time that news comes out. But all right, your turn. You pick one of the remaining four Hawks of great interest, and we can get there. Again, no Capella, no Trey, no Gallinari, no Huerter, no team.
Yeah, it's DeLon Wright season for me, and I think the field is probably going in Kyle's latest projection, 35% for DeLon Wright. I would have a lot of interest.
He's going to be way over that. I'll give you. I'll let you make a board bet now. That only becomes. By the way, board score. What are we at?
12-9. We split 1-1 last week. We have to get 3 on the board. We have to have a winner.
Okay. Yeah, we split last week. 12-9.
We'll get there today.
Who's winning?
I think it's you.
Okay, just wanted to check. All right. So just wanted to be, sure that we were.
Yeah, we got to deal in accuracies here.
Yeah.
An interesting note on this game, Eddie. The total has plummeted. The projected over/under here opened at 219.5. Last refresh, I have it at 208.
Yeesh.
So that'll happen when the majority of the talent leaves the game. But yeah, DeLon Wright is just, with this type of opportunity, he's a 7.5K player. Maybe that's even too cheap. I mean, we've seen him in previous stops, whether it was Memphis or Sacramento or Dallas. Like, when he gets the type of opportunity that he's going to step into tonight, he's a triple-double threat, plain and simple, and just produces at a much better rate, I think, than what we've seen from him even off the bench in his limited time this year. Only 14 minutes per game so far, but he is the guy that stands out the most to me from this team. And then Cam Reddish as well at 3.7. Those two guys are my two favorite Hawks to play. Again, I have some interest elsewhere at center. I think, and we'll get to it, but I think that paying up for Jokic is going to be the chalk tonight because you have so much value.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some merit in maybe biting the bullet on some guys at other positions. Certainly, Paul George.
If we think Okongwu is going to be 30-something% and he starts, I think it would be pretty foolish not to get there on a slate of this side.
If Okongwu starts, yeah, I would like.
I meant to say Gorgie. I don't know why I completely did that, but
gotcha.
Yeah. All this is all going to depend what time the news comes out here.
Mm-hmm.
Okongwu is limited is something to point out. Like, we're talking about the various things that go here. He is not yet 100%, so we expect him to be limited. And Nate McMillan in the last press conference spoke about Onyeka Okongwu being limited. So, and again, they play again tomorrow. So I would be surprised if Gorgie Dieng didn't start, but I think your likely minutes are 23 or 24 is the right projection. There is a floor under that. The game can go small. John Collins, like someone said, is there a chance John Collins plays only at the 4? There's a chance. Like, they want the most viable players out there. I do think, that's tough. Nate tends to stay on the bigger side and is a little more reluctant to go small.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can. It's going to come down to ownership. He should probably be in the high 30s, owned maybe 40%. He's 3,100. We'll assume he gets announced starting. He's going to project for. Again, what does Kyle have? I would have somewhere around 23, 24 minutes, somewhere around 25, 26 fantasy points. It's really good for $3,100. It's also really good if he's the 4th highest owned Hawk, which he might be.
He's got him just barely as the 4th highest owned Hawk, the dong there, and 28.3 DK points in the projection. That's
really good, kids. He's 3,100. Like, 28 is a really nice projection. That is the best projection of any of the Hawks. That's going to be a little better than that. Would be a little better than. It depends. Not X per dollar, because that's not how math works. But that is going to be a little better than what you're going to have for Reddish, which will be, I'll guess, about a 30 projection, and Wright, which will be about a 34 projection. I'll throw his numbers he has.
Sorry, I got off Atlanta to look. Gorgie Dieng, the highest points per dollar guy in the projections right now. DeLon Wright, 32.5 with his fantasy point projection on DK.
And a projection for Cam Reddish?
29.2.
Yeah. So, so Gorgie Dieng is 3,100 and a 20. So I don't know how excellent the other center plays are. Jokic is good. Boogie is good. What else?
Rolo's pretty good.
Rolo's pretty well. Okay, so let's that's the same game, right? Let's talk about Robin for a minute.
Sure.
So he's probably I have him for 32 minutes and 31 fantasy points. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I like Boogie a little bit more, who I have for almost exactly the same number of fantasy points for a couple $100 less. And it's allowing me to defray spending that money for a time. It's just 30 minutes. Now I want to, so there's a sort of brief strategic conversation we haven't had yet, which is normally I'm a big fan of saving money on a slate like this.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is we have 2 7:30 games and 2 8 games.
Yeah.
And then the 10 o'clock game. So you need to have sort of a solid plan for that last game. And then a theory of, I'm trying to think of the last game if we have any pending news in Clippers and Kingsland. I would argue we have pending news on every team because the fucking world is on fire.
Right. But it's just Rashawn Holmes in that last game.
Right, but that gives you an example. If we found out between 7:30 and 8 that Rashawn Holmes is out, all of a sudden Tristan Thompson is going to project almost exactly the same as Rolo and Boogie Cousins and have an eighth of the ownership. Like you're going to have Rolo at, I don't fucking know, 32%, and Boogie Cousins at, I don't know, 28%, and fucking Gorgie Jang at, I don't know, 36%. You're going to get 6% Tristan Thompson, who projects about the same as all those guys. But it's, if the games were more easily interspaced, if we had greater interstitial periods of time, then I would be a much bigger fan of defraying that salary. But you can stack the piss out of this game. Like I was working with a placeholder before. I had 6 players from this game. I don't feel like that's crackerjack. Like they project extremely well, and they're all, 4,400, 4,600, 3,700, 3,100. Like you can stack the shit out of this. So yes, there is always a benefit to leaving money for later. And that's one of the reasons I would save the half hour and have a plan for Boogie.
Mm-hmm.
But also, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at Superdraft here because we got the listener league going on. I'll throw that in the chat again here in a little bit.
Bogdanovich is in, by the way. That hits.
Yes. Yeah. You've got Boogie Cousins sitting there, just Superdraft specifically. A lot of options, obviously, at center and only one spot to use. 1.95x on Boogie. Gorgie Jang, 1.75x. Robin Lopez, 1.65x. So, like, it's kind of Boogie there, right? I mean, projection-wise, with the 1.95x. But do you have any lean on where you would go without, I guess, giving up the game on who you may be going with in your listener league lineup?
I haven't built one yet. I got to remember to do that at some point.
Okay, I'll shoot you the link.
Yeah, this time I may actually have time to do it.
Yeah.
You were asking me between which guys? Rolo and
Rolo 165, Jang 175, Boogie 195. Obviously, all those guys project great on Superdraft, and you've got Jokic there too at the 1x. So that's a big decision point, I think, on Superdraft tonight.
Yeah, it really is. They all project pretty close to the same, but I still have Jokic barely on top.
Yeah.
Like I still have Jokic with basically 63 raw as the best of those guys. But there's a real question of ownership, and I would actually sort of defer to you there. How often do people go for the stud Jokic projected for 60 versus the value guy projected for 35 at 1.75, which mats out the same? Like, how does that break out in your experience?
I think Jokic's ownership is going to be really muted tonight. I think anybody who's looking at any sort of Superdraft projections is seeing the shiny toys there, being those 3 value centers that I mentioned. And I really think that Boogie, sitting at 195 is going to pick up the most ownership out of the 4 of those. And to your point, like I guess that was the long way of getting to, I think maybe Jokic is the way to get different at center tonight on Superdraft, and trying to get some of those value guys with the higher multipliers at guard and forward.
They have a couple backup guys that can run out at center there. There's a comment in the chat that we were just looking at where Budenholzer came out and said, we are aware of the fact that some of our guys are dealing with some wear and tear. We are aware of the fact that we are playing again tomorrow. That doesn't surprise me. There is a real differentiation point to talk about the fact that there are 4 teams that play today that do not play tomorrow, and the other 6 do, I believe. The Clippers don't play tomorrow. The Kings don't play tomorrow. What's the other game? Because it's 2 games. It's the Clippers and Kings. The final game is not repeated tomorrow, and then it's – I want to make sure I get this right. It's not the Cavs and the Celtics. They play tomorrow. It's not the Nuggets and the Thunder. They play tomorrow. No, it is the Cavs.
Cleveland.
It's the Cavs. Yeah, it's the Cavs and the Celtics. It is the Cavs and the Celtics because I know the Bucks. The Bucks and the Rockets play again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Denver and the Thunder definitely play again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Cavs and the Celtics don't play tomorrow. So like we're talking about interesting plays at center. What about Robbie Williams?
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting at 1.35x, so not out of play there on Superdraft, and not out of play on DraftKings.
Out of play at 1.35x, he needs 45 to really be good enough, and that's not. I know. I guess out of play would be a big word, but that's not certainly possible. But back in there, 29 minutes last game, 37 minutes the game before that. Against a Cavs team that, again, I was talking about this with a colleague at Superdraft today. He's like, you know a lot about basketball. We were talking, and he's like, what don't you know? I'm like, I don't know why the Cavs are still good at defense. You say it every 2 weeks on the show. I was just like, I looked at that team, but at the beginning of the year, they're like, okay, they're going to start Markkanen at the 3. And Jared Allen at center for the majority of the minutes. How is their defense going to be? I'm like, bad. It's going to be really bad. They're going to have some fucking trouble. Like, they're going to give up a lot of open threes. And they're just not bad. It's a real sample size now. So I still don't know why. So that was the immediate thing that came to mind. I was like, yeah, I don't know how, but I'm pretty sure when you take Jared Allen the fuck off the court and you get Mobley out there and you still have Markkanen out there and you bring in your Dean Wades and the what have you. Yeah, there should be some room to eat here for Bob. Jalen, 100%. So
speaking of centers, Eddie, Christian Wood is now likely to play, not confirmed in, but I think we can go ahead and assume that he will get out there and play. So Şengün will not be joining the center party tonight if that does come to pass.
A pity. Though there was obviously you, me, and everyone. I think I said he was over-owned on a Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays ago, where he was 47% or whatever on a 13-game slate or something. And he went the fuck off and had an amazing game. And then the next night, he was like 60-something% on. I'm like, no, don't do that. He played like 17 minutes in it. Like 18, look what he did his price, whatever. That's like, so anyhow. Don't be results oriented, but yeah, love me some Şengün. And Wood enters the conversation, by the way. Wood, who has said in the past that he likes the matchups against teams that misused him.
He does indeed.
He is vengeful.
I think it's tougher on DraftKings where he's 9-3. Certainly not out of play, but there's multiple other guys in that price range that I would rather spend my salary on tonight. I think more viable on Superdraft where he's forward eligible and still carrying that 1.25x multiplier. So yeah, I mean we'll keep our eye on that, but he should be in. So
go ahead. We should do Bogdan versus Delon. Like we really need to make some. If nothing else changes, we need to make some recommendations. I think on this Hawks team, which is tough. This is a difficult and a thankless job. So let's talk ownership real quick.
Sure.
I'm going to go out and say that I think Cam Reddish is the highest owned member of the Hawks. I'm going to say it goes Reddish, then Wright, then Collins. I'm going to say it goes Reddish, Wright, Collins. I'm going to say Okongwu Bogdan. I think Bogdan ends up being the under-owned guy here, but let's have this conversation.
Yeah, I don't think I really differ with you. Maybe people run to Bogdan now that he's in, a more familiar name. Certainly has done some big things, even going back to his days in Sacramento when the team was shorthanded, both in the backcourt and on the wings. And he was already Kyle's got Wright at 35 and Bogdan at 28. And if that was the case with an hour left to go, I think maybe more people are going to go to Bogdan. And I also think John Collins could end up as the second highest owned guy there.
He's going to be really owned too. I definitely would not be shocked if he got over on Wright. But I think people are going to play a goddamn ton of Wright and Reddish.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really no question for me at this point that Cam Reddish will be the highest owned just because he's the cheapest and there's less. I guess the center position, as we've been saying, is just for me more clogged up than some of the cheap wing options. So yeah, I mean, I think that I would say Reddish, Collins, Wright barely over Bogdan. And I guess, man, I don't know. It's fucking tough because I didn't even list Gorgie yet. I know I'm lower on his ownership than you.
But I mean, I think it's important to look at. I think Reddish is going to be 63%. Okay. Like, I really think it's going to be in that. We can put our numbers down here. You want 3 bets? How about 5 bets? We'll go closer on the ownership on all 5 of the Hawks starters, assuming we get them right. You want to try to sweep me?
Sure.
Put these on the board? Okay, so we'll go back and forth. One of us names a percentage. The other one says over-under. I will say Cam Reddish, 63, 0.1% for Cam Reddish. And you pick over or under.
I'm under that.
Okay.
63.1.
And you got to put like Eddie on it, so remember it's mine.
Okay.
This is DraftKings' largest tournament, which hopefully you have access to, and we can check this.
Yes, sir. Okay. So the next one, I said Collins would be second. So I'll say John Collins, 40.5%.
I'll take higher.
Okay.
I will say Delon Wright. 40.6%.
I'm going to go under. I'm not giving the field credit. I would be over that number.
Maybe you are. I'm just...
So I said under. And then we'll go the Gorgeous Dong.
Sure. Now, if you're smart, you'll add 3% to whatever number you actually think it is.
I was thinking maybe adding more.
There's no reason to give me 32 instead of 35 since you know I'll snap over them both.
Yeah, I was going to say 38.
By the way, all 5 of these bets are predicated on them starting. In the event someone doesn't start, they immediately get yanked. So if Onyeka Okongwu starts at center, the Gorgie Jang bet is just voided.
Okay, I'm going Gorgie Jang 38.2.
Yeah. You make a good argument, Zach. At the start of the show, I'm snap overing here. I'll take the under.
Okay.
And that leaves us with Bogey.
Yes, sir. Your turn.
37.6.
I will go under.
Okay, there we go. So I'm looking for a butt ton of Hawks ownership. Let's talk about the Magic for a little bit.
Indeed.
We have Sonny Gravitz getting out of there.
He is.
I have
giving us that Nico Mannion flavor, as you said before we hit record.
Kevin Huerter, Red Velvet.
Holy shit. Hold on. Stop the show.
Okay.
Taco Fall starting. Merry Christmas.
Great. Okay. Now, first of all, this guy just took the under on... I worked you like a fucking prince. Getting the under there 1 second before that hit.
God.
I just hit the under on my boy. I can remember his name on Gorgie Jang before we got the Taco Fall starting news, which, yeah, I'm going to hit that one now. Worked you like a fucking pro. Taco. I can't believe I'm about to project this.
Get him in the ranks here.
Yeah, he's going to be good, too.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have that confirmed somewhere? I did not hit any of my alerts.
Chris Fedor.
Even no, that's my boy.
Taco Wednesday. Taco Fall will make his first career NBA start tonight against Boston. A source tells Cleveland.com. Dean Wade and Ricky
Revenge, too.
So here you go. Ricky Rubio, Darius Garland, Dean Wade, Laurie Markkinen, Taco Fall.
That's what I expected, excepting the Taco Fall.
God damn.
Is Joker traditionally overpriced for where the best value is today? No, because while it's good value, there's excellent center value. There's also excellent center. There's also excellent value at other positions. Mm-hmm. It's like you can still play value that is nearly as good, and you don't lose a lot. Like if we have the whatever Taco Fall, I have to reproject and all the cheap center value, and none of that other value, then your point is extremely well taken. But it's always relative, and you can play Delon Wright and Cam Reddish and Hassani Gravitz and any of those guys. Like I think Hassani projects pretty well. Like he, again, I'm playing catch up on all this stuff. This doing 2 shows a week thing sucks. And people not stopping messaging me sucks too. Like he didn't start each of the last 2 games. They started. Who did they start? I'm not thinking Anthony. I'm not thinking of Terrence Ross. I'm not thinking of Gary.
Are you talking about
The Magic. They started as their off guard.
It was
It's not Tim Frazier.
God, Mulder. He's in the protocols.
Yeah, Michael Mulder, who since went in the protocols. Okay, so now Gravit's starting. Mulder played like 30 and 32 minutes each of the last 2 games, I think. I don't think it's insane to project Hassani for 30, 31 minutes now. $3,200. He's shooting guard only. That's not particularly ideal, but especially if you're looking to run back. He's been very productive in the 2 games so far, I want to say, of his NBA playing this year. I don't think he would be that productive in general. I think it's I don't know enough about his game to see, like, I know his stats, which I've seen for a while. He's not a kid. He's 24, 25, 26. Like, he's got some years behind him. But he's like a very generic sort of 2, but I don't know how good he is at slashing. Basically, my point being that this Hawks defense is going to be probably a little better than it usually is on the periphery if he's a guy who gets to the rim, not having Clint Capella in there. And it's in theory a little easier inside looking at the matchup. But what do we project him for? Like, I would have guessed if like, I'm not looking at the last 2 games because I don't care if off the bench 17-minute sample sizes. My understanding of the player and knowing his G League stats previously would be that he'd be somewhere in the 0.75 to 0.8 fantasy points a minute, if I had to guess. But let's go conservative and let's say 0.75. If we project him for 30 minutes, that's still 22.5 fantasy points. If I did the math right in my head there, for 3,200, it's certainly deserving of consideration. No Michael Mulder there. Cole Anthony won't play again. Wendell Carter Jr. isn't there, so guys get to play down more. You get more of like point power forward Wagner. And we're looking for runbacks here. What say you about Hassani?
I mean, I think he's fine. You mentioned the 22.5 DK projection for you. Kyle's got him a little over 23, so we're right in that range.
I actually didn't project him 3 yet because I'm still trying to figure out the minutes on that team. So that was just me in my head going, let's say 0.75, let's say 30 minutes, both of which I'm pretty sure are close as reasonable projections for him, top of my head. But in fairness, I didn't actually like math out their minutes yet. I'm trying to figure this all out.
Right. I think Gravit is obviously fine. Projects great for the price. I just don't, with all the other value on this slate, I don't think I can prioritize him like at all.
Sure.
I would rather just eat some of the Hawks chalk there with guys that I just know are more talented, like Gravit when he's out there with Franz Wagner and Chuma Okeke, and even probably Gary Harris are going to take precedent in this offense over Hassani. So he's just like, in the context of this slate, he's very much a secondary value for me. But if I was building my pool for my 20 lineups, he would definitely be in there. And I would have a non-zero amount, that's for sure.
Okay, I think that's about right. So looking at Orlando as a team, I have the best play as far as salary versus what my nominal expectations are for that. Sorry, to be Robin Lopez. My last numbers on Robin Lopez are now 32 minutes and 34.25 fantasy points. It's very good for 4,600. I have him basically neck and neck with Boogie. I have Rolo, and then Hassani, and then slightly after that, Chuma Okeke, and then Franz Wagner. Those are the 4 players I really like on this team. I don't think I need to get to BJ Johnson. I don't think I need to get to Gary Harris. I don't think we need to get to Tim Frazier, but we have seen some absolutely insane 50 fantasy point games out of Tim Frazier in the past. But the fact that he did not get the start and Hassani did makes me enough minutes limited on that projection that I don't think I need to go to sweet Tim Frazier. Everybody's talking about Tim Frazier.
I did want to bring this up because our good buddy Jake Anderson was asking me right before we went live about these Magic guys. Like, what do you think the chances are now that they have, you mentioned Tim Frazier, obviously BJ Johnson, Gravit, et cetera, were there already. Admiral Schofield added Freddie Gillespie to that front court as well since the last game. Like, Jake was kind of pinging me, asking, like, do we think that maybe they run more of a regular rotation than the really condensed minutes that we saw over the last 2 games? Like, how likely do you think that is, where the Magic guys, particularly those spend ups, kind of burn us at those prices?
Yeah. So, Cole Anthony is out again. Mm-hmm. Wendell Carter is out now. Michael Mulder, with the 30 minutes he was playing, was out. So I think it's, important to contextualize it a little more than just the team, because Michael Mulder missing those 30 minutes, I think it's not crazy to feel like that. And there's still no Terrence Ross. Like, it would be weird for Hassani not to play 28 minutes or something. Like, they would have to try really hard. Like, they would have to run out. Admiral Schofield would have to get his time. I'm trying to remember all the Gillespie you mentioned got pulled up, former Raptor. That happened as well. So I guess my answer would be, I don't have a lot of interest in Gary Harris. In a game that's going to slow down at pace. He's sort of the guy on this team where, I just don't think I'm going to get there. Especially on FanDuel, Franz Wagner projects extremely well. You get Point Wagner. They do all sorts of stuff through him. He ends up being very Jayshawn Tate-like, or at the very least, there's a really big ceiling we can get to there. Rolo, I already spoke about, who projects extremely well. He's good for, in this matchup, probably better than a fantasy point a minute. Normally he's 0.9, 0.95 guy or something. Here is probably enough of a boost that he's 1.0 or somewhere around there. But yeah, so as far as the spend ups go, I think we sort of have to handle them one by one. I think Wagner is worth spending up on. It would be really strange with all the things he does that if he didn't play like less. They play again tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Him playing, like, if it's a massive blowout, maybe he gets pulled, but otherwise he's a kid and they like what they're seeing out of him and he wants to play more. So, like, I think he's going to play 32, 33, 34 minutes. Same thing with Chuma Okeke. Rolo, maybe they save a little bit. You can run a couple other guys on this team out at center. As far as even like you Admiral Schofield used to get center minutes for the Wizards, so it's weird he did, but that was a real thing that happened.
The battle between Admiral Schofield minutes and Anthony Gill minutes. Although I'm not sure they ever crossed paths there.
I think they did.
For a brief period, if anything.
I'm not sure, but I think we did have that confluence of stars where those two guys played. All right, so we gotta move on to some other stuff. But sort of my answer there would be, like, I feel good about the Franz Wagner spend. I don't think the Gary Harris spend is ridiculous. I just don't think it projects for quite enough. Like, for me, he projects for something like 34 or 35 minutes and 27 or 28 fantasy points. That's not quite enough for me. If I'm building 20, I don't think I have him. If I'm building more than that, I probably get to some. I like Franz Wagner. I like Robin Lopez. You can actually get too much. And I like Hassani Kravitz. We're hoping for more news as we get closer to lock. That came out earlier. But
so our good buddy Hugo, 35, who is still McLean's Christmas machine gun in the chat, was asking, how do we rank the Atlanta bigs, I guess specifically Gorgeous Dong, after that Taco Fall news? And that brings us back to Taco. And I wanted to talk about just how many minutes can he play? How many minutes will JB Bickerstaff feel comfortable running him out? Because in his now 2.5-year NBA career, we'll call it, his minutes high in his career is 19. He also played, but it's also not like, it's not that he can't play that much, because you look at his G League stats and he played 29 games for Maine back in 1920, 23.5 minutes a game, played 4 games in the G League so far this year and averaging 28 minutes in those 4 games. So it's not that he can't do it, but I think I'm more worried about Bickerstaff just not giving him the time. I really don't think I would probably not get to any Taco Fall if it were me.
Well, my friend, give me a minute. I'm going to try to reproject it. I got to get a minute here.
Like, I think if this is pulling ownership away from the gorgeous dong, then like I'm pushing more ownership onto the dong in my lineups.
There's definitely some sort of joke to be made here about a dong and a taco.
I was trying to tee it up for you, but well,
I appreciate that. I couldn't hit it down the fairway. I couldn't figure out what side of the tee to approach from, but there was definitely something funny to be said there.
Yeah, our buddy It's Jay chiming in saying, is this one of those Charlotte things where Taco plays like 4 minutes a la Nick Richards and Kevin Love plays a lot more of the small ball 5 for most of the time?
Kevin Love is a game time decision still, right?
Is he? I haven't seen the news. I think it was, who was it that just came in? I think it was Kyle Murray came in and was asking, is Kevin Love out now? I guess because he thought he would get the start there. Yeah, I think all of us did.
So like if like I thought he would start there. He like Jared Allen played the last game, so we don't quite know. But I thought has Kevin Love started a game this year? I'm gonna look.
I don't believe so. I can check that for you, sir. No, 23 games played, no starts.
Yeah, I didn't think he had. So that is a critical thing here. If Kevin Love is out, I'm gonna like some Taco Fall, but again, we have to guess at what the ownership is gonna end up being. So the only other guy who's going to play center is Luke Cornett, right?
I believe so. Yes. I mean, you could Eddie. You could slide Laurie to the 5.
Laurie Markkinen is a center. To be clear, Laurie Markkinen been playing small forward all year, but as I previously alluded, he's not good at moving the feet on the periphery. So he should be playing center, but he's not on this fucking team. Okay, so. Well, see, the thing is, Taco Fall is a good permanent fantasy producer, I imagine. I'll put him in. You want to do a board bet? I'll give you a chance to do a board bet if you want it before I look. Career fantasy points per minute for Taco Fall. Don't want it? I'll go 1.15. It's going to be a number.
That's probably about right. I got it right here. Hold on.
You get it then.
Oh, Rui Hachimura listed questionable tomorrow.
Yeah, that was out a while ago.
Also, OKC lineup same as last night. Robinson Earl at the 4, Derek Favors at the 5, and Mike Muscala out. So that's
they announced they were going to rest him.
Yeah, that was a while ago. But just kind of interesting for that front court on a slate where we didn't have so many other priorities.
Sure.
Taco Fall is 5.7 minutes a game.
I mean, while you're looking, I would say the biggest news for the Thunder is if Aaron Gordon is out, I've become a lot more interested in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who he's guarded in the past and done pretty good with.
You said 1.15 for Taco?
I think so. That sounds
1.16, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Fuck off, not bad. Anyway. But yeah, I knew it was above 1 because I looked at some point for some preseason inanity.
Here we go. Weston Selman dropping in the Kelsey Russo tweet saying JB Bickerstaff says Kevin Love, who was listed as questionable, will go through pregame before there's a decision on his availability. Denzel Valentine flew to Boston today and is available, which I think we knew already.
Yes. Yeah. So if Kevin Love is out, not going to be the older Bickerstaff. I know Bernie's rotation is better. If Kevin Love is out, I'm going to end up projecting Taco Fall for 24 minutes and 26 and a quarter fantasy points, give or take something like that. So, yeah, I would guess, just hesitating right now, I would say that Kevin Love or Taco Fall is going to be over-owned if Kevin Love is in and under-owned if Kevin Love is out, depending on when we get that news. So if it's 7:26, you get news that Kevin Love isn't going to play, I would get to a lot of Taco Fall. There's an upside there, a very real one. I do think it's a little dangerous. This game can go small in a number of ways. So the Celtics are missing, let's see, Grant Williams, which is really relevant for this. I'm trying to figure out how they're going to rotate through, and the odds that ends up being really small, and that they just, that they can play ISO ball on, like Taco Fall getting ISO'd by Tatum or Brown is not going to be pretty for Taco Fall. All right, so let's talk about the rest of this game. I think you're gonna have like 2% rake paid by people who play Kevin Love if he's out, by the way. Like, he was a favorite player of another people here. Another thing to point out is what is it? Ed Davis being out is really relevant here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm intrigued by the Taco Fall thing. All right, so I'm gonna try to reproject this out now. Let's assume Kevin Love is in. That's a pain in the ass. Okay. I think my favorite two guys here are going to be, it's going to be Rubio, Markin, and Fall in some order, but here we go. I have a feeling are going to be my guys on this team.
I mean, you think Laurie is probably going to get a nice little bump in terms of his fantasy point per minute rates because he'll probably see some time at center here, especially if Love's out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So let's go guy by guy here. Dean Wade, I would probably leave alone. We've seen his perilous downside a number of times. He's actually gotten a lot of playing time against Boston earlier this year. I'm not going to look it up, but I would honestly think I believe they've played the Celtics twice. I'm going to guess that Dean Wade has averaged like 30 minutes and 10 fantasy points. I recall a lot of standings.
Yeah.
Really, now again, it's not quite the same Celtics team, but closer than most of the teams here. And 3,800.
Would you say 30 minutes and 10 fantasy points?
30 and 10. I feel like that's about right.
Your rates are pretty much on track there. 28.2 minutes, 9.1 fantasy points.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Like, I remember just being like, hey, he's just standing in there. So
also, Aaron Gordon in, JaMychal Green in for Denver, and I don't remember. Did you you're factoring Luke Cornett into all of this, right?
I presumed he was playing.
Yeah,
he is playing for the Cavs.
Yes.
Okay, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cavs do not play tomorrow.
They do not. This is the game.
Right.
That second game that doesn't play tomorrow.
Okay. This game and the late game don't play. It's the two teams in this game and the two teams in the nightcap at 10. Everyone else plays again tomorrow, which keep in the back of your head when making some of these decisions. So yeah, if Kevin Love is in, Taco Fall for me would project for something like 18 minutes and 18 and a half fantasy points, maybe 19, somewhere in that range. If Kevin Love is out, I think he projects for 24 minutes and 25 or 26 fantasy points. So that would be a really relevant difference.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see where the ownership lands. The uncertainty about Kevin Love is going to make him a really fun GPP play. Like, he was projected to be like 40% owned earlier today. That number is going to come way the hell off.
Really?
Yeah. He was on a couple sites. Like, he was going to be really, really owned, and he looked, perfectly tolerable. I think a lot of people, myself included, presumed he would start at center. I assumed he would start in this game. That's obviously not happening. So I guess my point is I'm not playing him now. If we get news he's in and is going to play, and again, they don't play tomorrow, that's a 5-game slate, and you're going to get him at really low owned. So if we got late news that he was going to play.
A good point here by HB Card says, in a minute, if we can, Eddie, go back to Bogey versus DeLon Wright, because the taco bomb fell when we started to talk about it.
Okay, we'll go back to that in just a few seconds. So I would say Dean Wade, I don't want to play. I would say Chetty Osman, I'm not thrilled with the matchup, but 4,500, I think he plays 29 minutes off the bench or something like that. I'd have some. He's going to be 15% owned. I think that's about right. I like the matchup for Rubio a lot. We have seen Smart sit on Darius Garland quite a bit in the past, like greater than 50% defensive possession share. I think Garland is largely out of play at his DraftKings price at 9,700. Out of play is a big word on a 5-game slate, but you need a lot to justify that price tag. So, Rubio, I have Rubio projected for 34 and I have Garland projected for 37, I think. Mm-hmm. And Rubio costs 6.2 and Garland costs 9.7. You can sort of do your own math there. Rubio is going to be owned in the low 20s, maybe high teens. That's right. So I don't have any great takes on this team. Markkanen's going to be on 10% at 6K. Mm-hmm. That's about right. I guess I don't have a lot to add here. Do we want to do more of a talk into Boston? I do think, again, I don't expect this Cavaliers defense to be good. I never expected them to be good, and now they're minus their best 3 defenders. So they really shouldn't be good. I guess I will, long story short, say that I think Marcus Smart and Bob Williams are excellent GPP plays.
Yeah, you said Marcus Smart?
Yeah.
I can't do it.
He's 5,700, brother.
I know. I think
made 9 threes in a game before. Remember this time last week where I said Ricky Rubio was a great play and you said I couldn't do it? I'm saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all right, so let's put this on the board. What are we doing for Marcus Smart?
I'm saying he's better than he's going to be owned is the issue. We did this last week. Someone in chat said Rubio, and you said not at 6'2" or so. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. Specifically when I disagree with you, I absolutely think the upside's there, and he went out and fitted or whatever. I think Marcus Smart's going to be 7% owned, and I think he's going to be much. I think he has an upside to be beyond that. I think there is a reasonably safe floor. They don't play tomorrow.
I mean, I just don't his floor is in the low teens.
Oh yeah.
Why do I have to take that chance tonight?
Because everyone's going to think like that. I'm not saying load him into your cash lineup. I'm saying right. I think he's 7% owned. I would rather have 12, but I don't know how to bet on that because I think he will objectively fail 3/4 of the time.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I think I would rather Eric Gordon at the same price.
Yeah, Eric Gordon is definitely if you look at the last 3 games Marcus Smart played, he had 40 fantasy points, 14 fantasy points, and 32.5 fantasy points. You have everyone in there. I just think it's that defense could be incredibly anemic. Sure. All right, let's move on. Let's go back to Delon Wright. And this is I don't want to place a bet on it because I just think he's going to be a little under-owned, but I think he should be 11% owned and he's going to be 7% owned, and that's not a really valuable conversation. So let's go back to talking about Delon Wright and Bogey.
Sure. Let me see if Kyle has an update push.
If $100 different from each other.
Yeah.
I have
last guy in. Which one are you going with?
All else being even, I would probably play Bogdan. I think the ownership disparity is a little higher than the difference in projection. I have Delon Wright for about 1.5 points higher.
Okay. I was going to say, do you want to do that straight up? I love both of those guys, though.
Yeah, you can play both of them, which might be the answer. Your answer might be to quasi overstack this game. Again, the under came way down, but you can have 6 people in this game be in the best possible lineup, or certainly 5. Yeah. And you can have.
This is almost like Minnesota Dallas last night. I don't know if you were familiar at all with how that projected, but it's very similar to that last night. Obviously, absent the spend up on somebody like Karl Anthony Towns, but you can certainly concentrate your lineup around this game. I think I would set a rule in an MME build, Eddie, for max 2 of Wright, Reddish, and Bogdan.
How many minutes do you think Bogdan can possibly play as a ceiling, and what do you project as a medium? I think I had his median at 27, and I would say a ceiling that's realistic is something like 33. Like I
was gonna say 32.
Yeah.
He's not gonna come out there and get, just buku minutes. He's been legit, bothered by these injuries.
Yeah, and they play again tomorrow, which is the reason I'm a little more conservative. Now he was ready to play last game and it got canceled.
Yeah.
They announced he's in, and then they didn't play the game, I believe was the order of effects there, and that's been a couple days. So but I would put a median projection. How the hell did they sign? Like they still have Skylar Mays there, and then Rolo or Cousins for cash. I would probably just lock in Rolo at this point, but it's really close.
Hawks will start right.
Kevin
Skylar
Lover.
Fucking Mays.
Skylar Mays I just said Skylar Mays. Did I say? I was thinking Skylar Mays. Did I say it a second ago? I'm
to be honest, I didn't hear. I was looking at this.
Right. Okay. So our Bogdan bet is irrigated. Did I take the over or under on White? I took White and you took the under, didn't you? I'm going to wreck you on this because I took White and you took the under, and now he's going to go up with no bogey starting.
Yep.
I don't know about good call on Mays. I remembered he was there and they liked him enough that he was going to start and play. But okay.
I got the under on 40.6. I'm not dead, but I don't feel great.
Elon Wright, you're dead. Dead.
Ever the optimist.
I'll put $100 on it right now. 100 American dollars. I'll bet half your salary, which as is 100 American dollars per week. That's a slate. Again, it's the benefits package at Superdraft.
Oh gosh. Well, how about like Skylar Mays now? Can he enter?
Yeah, I'm gonna get into story. I need comments. I need context. I need fucking something.
I don't think I can do it.
That is why you fail. It was acceptable in the 80s.
Let's see. Skylar Mays. G League this year. 33.5 minutes per game over 7.
I'll say 11 points.
Higher.
Really? 13?
Much higher.
Really? What's he doing?
17.5.
Wow.
Yeah, shooting 43, 32, 95.
Good from the line.
4 boards, 4 assists, steal and a half.
Valentine out for Cleveland.
Okay.
Just saying. Cleveland, Sexton, Okoro, Mobley, Allen, Stevens, Davis, Windler, Valentine, Nebharb out for Cleveland. Relevant. Nice tweet from Mark Spears. I hope the Clippers sign player development assistant Wesley Johnson to a 10-day contract with everyone now a 9-year NBA forward, 1 year shy of the full pension. Kind of cute.
Let's see. Would you Jang or Rolo?
Have we seen we saw Jang starting, right, in that Hawks?
I don't believe we've seen a Magic starting lineup, no. Yes,
we did see a Magic starting lineup.
We did?
We did. We have Hawks and Magic starting lineup. We just got Skylar May starting, and we saw Hassani Gravitz starting 40 minutes ago. I will go pull things, but
I'm scrolling.
Every day I'm scrolling.
Did I really miss?
Or maybe we just saw Hassani Gravitz starting and I got confused. But we obviously saw Magic will start. Gravitz, Harris, Franz Wagner, Okiki, Rolo. Yeah, we got it. Which, all right. Yeah, other than Hassani was what I expected. So that's I didn't think a lot about it. But
Schroeder back to the bench here. I don't remember if he was off the bench last game, but Smart, Langford, Brown, Tatum, Time Lord for Boston.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Jake asking if we talked about Onyeka Okongwu. He's still on a minutes limit. Played 14 in his first game back.
He's still on a minutes limit, and he's one like if you're gonna play a center for that team, if we're not counting John Collins, you play Gorgie Jang.
Yep.
So they have Jalen floating around who's going to pick up some center minutes as well. Maybe he might just back up Collins. Like they actually have a reasonable stash of bigs relative to some of the other teams that are particularly anemic this evening. So I think I would play Noah Okongwu. Like he's a good fantasy producer, but they play tomorrow, and there's just like I don't think I want any of that gas.
Would you Gary Harris, Bledsoe, or Armani Brooks? Which I guess we should break into some of those later games.
Yeah, we should get into it. I would Armani Brooks by projection. I would probably play Bledsoe more often because I'm buying myself 2 hours for COVID to do its work.
Yeah, good point.
Like I don't know what I can do. Like it's apparently, I would save that money frequently. Don't have to, but.
All right, let's go. Those 2 8 p.m. games: Houston at Milwaukee, Denver at Oklahoma City. Start with Houston and Milwaukee. We'll see Jalen Green tomorrow, Eddie, but still out tonight. Christian Wood is in. Bogdan available to play off the bench, likely off the bench to keep his minutes in check in the first game back from injury. I don't know if that's Justin Fan prognosticating or if that was actually from the mouth of the Atlanta coach, but that's what we got. But looking at this Houston team, we talked about Şengün earlier. Now with Wood in, can't play him at that elevated price tag. Eric Gordon, I think, is a fine play along with Armani Brooks. If you wanted to play some Garrison Matthews in multiple lineups, I wouldn't call you insane. But there's really no priorities for me here from this Houston team. You differ at all, Eddie?
I don't think so, but let me redo a run with Wood definitely in because that's not what I had last time. No, I have them all as pretty much garbage. Armani Brooks is my best player on the team, and I'm not really excited about getting there. You can obviously Gordon, you can obviously Wood, you can obviously Brooks, you can obviously Tate. I think those 4 players are fine to mix in GPPs here and there, but none of them project well at their price. Like I would have 0 Rockets in a cash lineup. Of those 4 guys in GPPs against Milwaukee, with both no Portis and Lopez and Giannis. So the big rotation, it's going to move around a boogie for that shift. Of their value guys, I would land, of those guys in GPPs, I would land on I would probably land on I'd probably go Brooks, Tate, Gordon, Wood, KJ Martin as the order of guys in which I would fire a bullet at. But I don't think I'd get over 10% on any of them. Nor do I think the field gets over 10% on any of them. Like this team is going to be really low on. So
I think I'm in lockstep with you there.
Okay.
How about the other side though? Middleton, I think Bud said he's going to be mindful of both his, Rodney Hood's, and Semi Ojeley's recent injuries in terms of their minutes load here. Drew Holiday up to 9.4 on DK's multiplier down to 1.15 on our sponsor Superdraft. You've also got sub 5K Grayson Allen, a little bit pricey for Pat Connaughton 5.5. Jordan Nwora priced up as well with Middleton being out the last few games at 4.5. I think everybody's priority, including mine, is Boogie Cousins here at 4.4, 1.95x over on Superdraft.
Yep. Again, they do play again tomorrow. Both these teams get in there, but it's a back-to-back set. They are very mindful of minutes. I do have Boogie as the best spot here. Again, he needs to stay out of foul trouble, which has been a thing. The minutes bugaboo is one of the reasons I'm a little less excited about, Middleton, who again is 100%. Drew, I have Drew at 34 minutes. I have Middleton at 32. That makes them still very decent plays at their prices. I have Drew projected for 49.25 fantasy points. That's still pretty good at 9,400. What does Kyle have him for? What do you have him for? I have Drew still projected very well.
Kyle has Drew 44.5.
Okay, so I have him for like 4 more fantasy points than that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's more enough disparate that I'm going to look around the industry a little bit because that is weird.
Okay, I can do that as well here. I'm seeing one that's way too low, right around 40. See another that's right around 40, so interesting.
Okay, I have massively different numbers than everyone else then, so let me go back here and work on my numbers a little bit.
Sure.
I would presume I am wrong and they are correct.
I'm coming right around that Kyle number there, right around 45.
Well, our good friends at Roto Grinders are sitting at 47.7. That's closer to my 49.25.
Does that make you feel good about it, or?
Yeah, I was about to say, of course. I don't know who's doing their stuff today. Let's assume they run Jordan Nwora a little extra.
Herm chiming in. He's got 49.
Okay, so Herm and I are okay. That makes me okay. Well, at this point, like my, as everyone I assume would think, my gut reaction is to say, apparently everyone else is much lower on him than I am.
Mm-hmm.
What's the line on this game? Like they are in Milwaukee, and
they are home. 9-point favorites, 224 over under.
Okay. I don't know if I made my appropriate reduction there. I don't know if they limit Drew at all. A, they're going to want him to sit on Eric Gordon. B, he did not play in their last game. So he's fairly fresh. Yeah, I would prioritize him. I would probably, I don't know if he's at a 9 already, but if he was an 8, I'd throw a 9 next to that, man. Like, I can't. There's lots of really good guard value, and there's all kinds of Yumbleys going on, but that's a pretty significant differential in expectation. Yep. So
good point.
Yeah, I got to do that.
Also dropping the listener league link in here again. Anybody who's on Superdraft, who always graciously sponsors this show and all of our NBA shows here at FTN Daily Listener League in there. It's free to enter. You can win a ticket to the Christmas Day main GPP over there if you finish in the top 3, and an additional $1 ticket, which you can stack if you also finish top 3, if you finish above Eddie and myself. Link in there in the FTN NBA Discord. And if you haven't signed up yet for Superdraft, don't know what you're waiting for, you can use the promo code FTN. And on any deposit of $100 or more, Superdraft will give you $100 in bonus funds. So pretty good offer there. So hope to see all of you, at least in the States, that can play Superdraft before Anthony jumps down my throat about how it's not available in Pennsylvania yet. Working on it.
We know.
Let's see. The minutes restriction off the bench. Yeah. For Bogdan, that is. Denver OKC. Eddie, Jokic all the way up at 12.6 on DK. You can get him for 11.4 over there on FanDuel and the flat 1x on Superdraft. He's really the only, especially with Aaron Gordon and JaMychal Green back. Like, this team isn't obviously full strength, but they're deep enough where I don't have any interest really in anybody else outside of the Joker. And I think if I was going to go somewhere, I'm going to bet on the blowout and play my guy Bones Highland. But I really don't know if I would have exposure to any other Nuggets if I was running my 20 on this slate.
Yeah, sorry, I'm stuck trying to figure something out about the Clippers, so I'm in a glass case of emotion for the moment.
And there's a couple questions piling up in the chat. We will get to those momentarily, my friends. Kyle just pushed a projections update, so everybody can refresh that. I will do the same.
It's about 20 seconds.
Never thought I would play Robin Lopez in a moment ranks lineup, Eddie, but here we are.
It's exciting times.
It is. Okay. Let's once you're done with that, let's talk that last game. Assuming we don't have too much to talk about here with the Oklahoma City side of that Denver game. With those guys priced up, SGA, Giddey, I'm not opposed to having those guys in a lineup as like a last guy in, but certainly no priorities for me from the Thunder tonight.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon playing takes away from right either. I come with a rotation that makes sense for me. I will look at my Thunder rankings, but similarly with Houston, I wanted Aaron Gordon out, which would have given me proportionately more interest in Shea. All right. OKC. I have no players in the top half of my player pool. My top 4 players by value are Jeremiah Robinson Earl at not good, and I mean power forward eligible at least. Then Kenrich Williams, then Jay Gilgeous-Alexander at now 37 3/4 fantasy point projection for 9,500. I can't get behind, setting aside blowout issues and everything. They are in OKC if memory serves. Poku, yeah, I would have frighteningly little exposure to this team at this point.
I agree. So that late night hammer going off 2 hours after those 2 games we just talked about, Clippers visiting the Kangs. Both teams extremely shorthanded here. Reggie Jackson.
Clippers aren't that shorthanded.
Sure, I think they have 12 bodies, but in terms of like your household names, right? Reggie Jackson.
Who are they missing? Like Reggie's hurt, but Reggie's not even out yet, right? Reggie's
out. He's health and safety protocols.
How did I miss Reggie being out for health and safety? Okay.
Reggie, Luke Kennard, best friend. That's Marcus Morris for the uninitiated. And then Isaiah Hartenstein, the one that's out with injury rather than protocols.
I Reggie is a maybe for some reason in my.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. It just didn't ping me before.
Yeah, that's going to bring a 4.8K on DraftKings Eric Bledsoe into play for me as a pretty strong value there, especially with so much ownership going on these earlier games. Terrence Mann at 5'6", also in play, but doesn't really jump off the page to me. Yep. I think, Eddie, for me, it's Paul George first up top, just for the raw points that he is likely to provide against this Kings teams tonight with all those other guys out, Eric Bledsoe. And then, like, if you see Justice Winslow get a start, I guess you could, but we're not going to get that news in time. But he kind of just points per dollar wise stood out a little bit to me. Anything else for you from this Clippers team now with Reggie out that stands out?
Yeah, I got to refigure the hell out of everything now.
Sure.
All right.
I'll go ahead and I can flip to the Kings side while you kind of refresh there. Still, you talk about shorthanded. These Kings still without De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley, Terrence Davis, Alex Len, Davion Mitchell, and Louis King. And then Rashawn Holmes remains questionable coming back from that eye injury. So That's going to be a big piece because if he's out, you're going to have some interest in a guy like Chimezie Metu, even at that 5'8" price tag there on DraftKings. Tristan Thompson is going to come into play then. And then I guess Damian Jones also, like in a showdown context, would continue to have some value there. Played 21 minutes last game, following up maybe one of his best career games from a fantasy perspective, the 39 DK in 19 minutes. But really for me, Eddie, I think Tyrese Halliburton remains a priority even at 8-2. Yep. And I have no issue getting some volume on guys like Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield. But the front court is obviously kind of a wait and see for me. If you wanted to put Richaun Holmes in your utility spot, you can then pivot down to Chimezie Metu or 2v2, 3v3, depending on how your lineup is built, to get some Tristan Thompson in and shift some other pieces around. So that's how I'm approaching those two teams this evening.
Yeah, I think that is largely in sync with what I have. Sorry, I know we're down to a couple minutes. I'm just trying to project this through. So for the clip, we will start there. For the clips, I have Bledsoe and George up top, and then a bit of a fall off for Man, and then you can get a Zubac, but Ibaka isn't the whole way back, so there's some stuff going on there. Justice Winslow, right now I have it 16 minutes. I don't think he gets the start. If he does, that would obviously be quite a bit of interest. I think he's 3,600. And then if you look at Sacramento, Halliburton still looks great to me. I have him at 38 minutes and 42 fantasy points. I like the matchup quite a bit. You can still get to Hield in tournaments, but the big news is if you can get Richaun Holmes out of there, Tristan Thompson makes for a pretty excellent pivot at 4,400 at center to a couple other guys who, if Holmes doesn't play, Tristan Thompson goes from my current projection, which is like 18 minutes and 17 and a half fantasy points, to like 32 minutes and 30 and a half fantasy points, which would put him very close to Rolo and Cousins at massively lower ownership. So I think that's really the pivot to look at there.
How do you feel about, we got this question from Jay. I think it was Jay. I'm scrolling through all these questions that have kind of built up. He was asking, would you roll with Jokic and Rolo at your center spot, or kind of get different and play Rolo and Gorgeous Dong and then pay up for guards and forwards in tournaments?
I'd probably be more inclined to the second one.
Yeah, I agree. But in any sort of cashy scenario, I'm taking Jokic with one of those spots. Would you Rolo and Zubac or Cousins?
What do we have on Kevin Love? So I just got conflicting.
I haven't seen the updated Love news.
Neither have I. Okay.
Let's see. Where did that go? I think it was. Where's this question I was looking at? Oh, here it is. Rolo and Zubac or Cousins and Terrence Mann?
He's out on the court. He's out there warming up.
Mm-hmm. They said he would go through pregame, right?
Yeah.
I think he's in.
Okay. I'm just saying it is a 7:30 game. It is 7:29. Just to be clear, the reason for my consternation. That's why, kids. Sorry, what was the question? You can fire again if you want.
It was Rolo, Zubac, or Cousins and Terrence Mann.
I'll put around Rolo and Zubac.
That was my answer as well. Garland, Hallie, and I already answered that one. Skylar May's popping in a lot of optos. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they have him slightly overrated for the minutes with Bogdan coming off, but I have something. I mean, he's the floor. I have him at 27 minutes and about 23 fantasy points. For the floor, that is fine, but I think he's going to be about appropriately owned based on sort of what I'm seeing. So again, they play again tomorrow, so he's fine. I think the downside is a little more relevant than the upside in my consideration there, but It's a guy who's the minimum price and is going to play mid-20 whatever minutes. So probably should talk more about Skylar Mays, but projects very similarly to Kravitz and so on and so forth. So it's going to come down to a minutes question.
Garland or Rubio, FanDuel GPP?
I don't know the prices on FanDuel, but
gotcha. Well, we're locked, so
yeah, that game's locked.
Tough question to ask at lock there. The question did come in after lock, but for reference,
I wouldn't have a great answer anyway because I don't know enough to have a sense of what they're going to be owned, which is the most relevant variable in general in the matchup. I would like Ricky Rubio more than I would like Garland in most aspects, but
it was Christian Wood confirmed in Garland is 400 more on FanDuel tonight than Ricky Rubio.
Oh, okay. Then I'd probably still want Garland. Raw points would be Garland then for me. Yeah. 400 differential.
Well, I guess we can look at some ownership.
Yeah.
We got the board here. We got 4 wagers going off right now.
All right, let's do the 4 wagers.
Exciting.
All right, we'll do it at the same time as the ownership. So just combine. You're hosting. So just combine it all together.
I gotcha. Looks like maybe Top Shot's gonna let us gonna whitelist everybody for the holidays. Oh, Mamu out.
Mamushvili, Sandro.
Yeah. Mamu Kelashvili.
Mamu Kelashvili.
Yeah. So that's notable news.
Yeah, get back to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that Top Shot gonna let me, if I wanted to, or if we wanted to, we could maybe like bet a Boban on something, or and then gift it right away. That'd be fun.
What does whitelist mean in this context?
Where you don't have the 7-day waiting period for gifting. I think they're giving that to a lot of content creators, etc.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. All right. You said Reddish. I guess, do we want to just go through ownership first, or we just want to hit on the 4 Hawks bets? Did I drop or did Eddie drop? Tino, help me. Said nice freeze. So I see the Eddie freeze too. I'm assuming I'm still on the air. Eddie drop. Appreciate you, Doug. Once a week, I get to finish the show solo, I guess, which is nice. And I'll blame the Superdraft Wi-Fi there.
It's gotten quiet.
There he is. You dropped. Yeah, you dropped.
Oh,
and there's a fantastic freeze frame.
I don't want to know.
You look in the chat.
That's great.
That's a good question. Are you eating chicken tendies?
No, that was the first one was there was a box of gourmet individually wrapped cookies delivered to the office today. So my diet is long since fucking gone. That previous was buttercream frosted gingerbread cookie. And I've now moved on to simply sugar cookie.
The Bucks will start Drew Holiday, Jordan Nwora, Pat Connaughton, Chris Middleton, and Boogie Cousins. So Nora getting in there for the start over Grayson.
Not Nora, Wara. If we're gonna drop one,
you're right.
Let's drop the right fucking one.
Did you happen to see how Joe Metz came in? The biggest Bucks fan, maybe in DFS, came in adamant in the chat that it was Nwora, and I forget who it was who boomed him with the correct pronunciation, but it was entertaining. I also didn't know that. I've always said Nwora.
Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish, number 1.
What was the bet?
63.1. That was you. I took the under.
I think you probably got there now with everything else that opened. That was the danger in that bet. So I will say 58.
Yeah, a nice little Sammy Hagar there. 55 for Cam Reddish. 1-0 ZG.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the ownership difference between number 1 and number 2 is minuscule.
So someone else at 55, probably John Collins then.
John Collins, 55. I said 40.5. You said under 20 ZJ.
That's bullshit. Okay. I know I'm solid on the Gorgie Jang one, so I'm hoping to pull into the tie now, basically. So we have Delon Wright left.
Mm-hmm.
What was the bet?
Delon Wright was 40.6.
And I took the
hard to read my own handwriting sometimes.
And I took the over.
I took the under on Delon. You said 40.6.
Oh, okay. I've got you then. It's over 40.6.
Yep.
Yeah, and as during the show, you were like, "I got a chance." I'm like, "No, you're fucking dead now." It's like you're dead in the fucking water now. 48.
Yeah, nicely done. 47.5 there.
And then somewhere in here, we're gonna hit Gorgie Jang, where you said 38, and I said the under, and he's now gonna be in the high 20s.
Yeah.
27.
Yeah, 27. Which all I'll say, Eddie, is we made those bets before that news hit. I would have gone 4-0. Would have gone 4-0.
Yeah, and if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be whacked. She don't.
It's no fun. We keep going 500.
It's fine for me. I've got a 3-point lead. I tried to give you another bet. You didn't take it on the fantasy points, which I missed by 0.01 in a related series.
It's no fun for me, and therefore no fun for the people, Eddie.
All right, we'll go with that theory for now. What highest non-hawk?
Yeah.
It should be either Rolo or Kinky. I will go with Robin. I'll go Robin Lopez.
Chumo Kinky.
Number
4.
32.
36.
Okay, Robin Lopez, 32.
Rolo number 5, he's 34. Still good.
That's all fun. You're gonna get a nice like non-hawks. We'll try either gonna get Rubio or Hassani, I think. I don't think we're gonna get to enough Bob Williams or Markkanen or Tatum or Brown or any of that. Let's try Rubio.
Rubio, number 7.
Is that next? I've lost.
Yes, that is next. Sorry.
23.
26.
26. Okay, more than I thought. I thought he'd be around 20. Hassani.
Yeah, Hassani number 8.
Wazine. I didn't think he'd be this high, honestly, but I'll bump it to 19.
Yeah, neither. 21.
Really? Okay. Skip the order. I don't give a shit about that. How low is Skylar Mays? Because Skylar Mays.
I forgot to enter the listener league. Son of a bitch. Did you get in there? Fuck.
I don't like our chances of beating anyone.
$1 tickets for everybody.
We can't afford this. We're paying the $1 tickets. I need gourmet cookies.
Oh my God. Well, best of luck to everybody in finishing in the top 3 there for those tickets to the main GPP. Yeah, you're right, Easy. You are right.
You know that.
You think with a 90-minute show I could find the time to click 7 names there, but alas, I cannot.
That lack of attention to detail doesn't speak well to your employer.
Yeah, well, I guess it probably speaks well to the other employer that we are currently representing, because I'm paying so much attention to the chat and to my conversation with you and the rankings and
All right, we'll go with that.
Telling you, ever the optimist. You want to just read it out now?
Yeah, do your thing.
Okay, we got Franz Wagner, Gary Harris, Chetty Osman, all 16. Dean Wade, 12%. Skylar Mays picked up 11% at min price. Jason Tatum at 10. Lauri Markkanen at 10. Marcus Smart, ya boy, at 8. Kevin Love held 7.5%.
I missed the 1, by the way. I said 7 on Marcus Smart, to be clear.
Kevin Love, 7.5, right there with the Time Lord. Bogdan off the bench, minutes limit, 6.5. Jaylen Brown, 4. Darius Garland, over 9K at 3%. Jalen Johnson, 2.6. And a name that we talked about a lot and haven't seen on this list yet, but here he comes, 2.5%, Taco Fall.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I really want that.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Derrick Rose.
I swear to God, I'd want like right now. I guess I just fucked it up, but I'd want like 30% Taco Fall. I really like he's so low owned.
Yeah. I think I'd be fine with 20. Especially with Mamu out now, like Boogie's the play. Derrick Rose, by the way, Eddie, underwent ankle surgery. He's out at least 2 months.
Wonder if we'll ever see him again.
I wonder if Kemba can continue to play 40 minutes a night for the next 2 months.
I wonder. You're out of the rotation. By out of the rotation, I mean you are the entire rotation.
Yeah. I mean, if they go back to no Kemba, you're going to see big roles for – I mean, obviously it's going to help. Burks is probably going to stay the de facto point guard there, RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier. But you're going to see Grimes and maybe even McBride sneaking into that backcourt rotation for some spot minutes.
Yeah, you will. Definitely, to be sure.
Obi also back for that team out of the protocol. So he will bless us with his presence on Christmas.
Survived. It's a good play.
We've got some fun names here. Sub 1%, 0.74% of the field decided to keep Kevin Huerter in their lineups. I guess I'm one to talk when I can't even fill out one lineup. Tim Frazier, 0.5%. I'd rather have the 0.4% Sharif Cooper, I think. Let's see. 0.11% of people were brave enough to throw Luke Cornett in there.
Go with God.
Yeah. Cole Anthony, 0.03. Lou Williams, 0.07. Denzel Valentine, 0.08. So some significant ownership there on guys who will not play.
Yeah. Some significant ownership on guys who will not play.
Go the total here in these first two games, 442%.
Okay, so it should have been 320%. So again, very heavily overowned, but not unreasonably so in my opinion with how attractive that first game was.
Yeah, it could have been a lot more, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think that was crazy. Again, I thought originally that we'd get some of those guys up into the low 60s. They were 55. So. Life was
yes, indeed.
Did
you do that Top Shot Flash Challenge last night?
I did.
A little archive pack action.
It was best. I didn't have to buy a card for it.
That's great. I had to buy a buddy. I didn't have a buddy healed.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I have all those players. Well, let me just have one more cookie. This is only like 18. You want to open some packs while we wait?
I would, Eddie, but I have a little haul of packs that I'm going to open with some buddies on Christmas, watching the afternoon, the NFLs, the NBAs, etc.
Must be nice to ever get a good pack.
It is. Although I will say, like, I obviously I feel for you with your pack luck or lack thereof overall in your Top Shot experience. But I will say, I ponied up for the 9 Lives Lounge, did the whole Cool Cats thing last spring, and got access to every rare and legendary drop to finish out Series 2, and I hit on exactly 0 of those.
That's good.
So the bad luck, it goes around.
Ever. I got one run it backpack.
The rare one. Yeah, that's right. And then what was the run it back? It was uninspiring, right?
Caron Butler is my rare, I think is who I ripped like a fucking champ.
You look great doing it.
Yeah. Though the other day I was convinced in the challenge like 5 days ago that Nickeil Alexander-Walker was going to go huge. So I bought like 7 Nickeil Alexander-Walkers at $28 a piece.
And he shot up to like 50 something?
And I sold them all last night for $65 a piece, basically. Absolutely aped it, but totally got it wrong on the day of. I'm like, it was him and Bones Highland. It was the Bones Highland night. And I was like, I'm going to buy these Nickeil Alexander Walkers. They're sitting at 28. They're going to go to like 40, and they didn't move. So I'm like, oh, shit. So I just sat there on them, and then randomly I looked last night. I'm like, oh, he scored the last or the first point of something and got in the challenge, and they were like $60-something. I'm like, all right, good to be lucky. So, I guess compare that to thousands of dollars in fucking Series 1 cards I should have. Could have.
That's a great tweet that Tyreek posted there in the chat. I saw that earlier this morning. I don't know if you did. James Herbert saying, so now everybody's isolating except Joe Johnson.
That's really funny.
That's great.
That's really good.
Well done.
All right, tell my Joe Johnson story. So I'm at the Big 3 games in June of this year in Las Vegas. Joe Johnson sets the single game Big 3 scoring record, which is 34 points, which is really impressive when you remember that in the Big 3, you play to 50.
Yeah.
So the teams never score more than 50 points. And there's 3 guys on the court at a time, and you don't even always fucking win. So Joe Johnson then playing for the Triplets, I think was the name of that squad.
Yeah, that's right.
Fills up and scores 34. And I was aware of the record. And so I'm hanging out backstage because Superdraft, official sponsor of the Big 3, we had all kinds of cool tickets. I got to Ball with Ice Cube. No big deal. It's a really big deal. Anyway. And Joe Johnson comes through the backcourt and he walks next to me. And I go, hey, Joe, you set the single game scoring record in Big 3 history. He goes, really? What'd I get? I go, 34. He goes, good shit. And gives me a high five. So my claim to fame in Big 3 history is that I informed Joe Johnson that he had set the single game scoring record.
We love it. And he was, I don't know if T Panthers is hanging out with us this evening, but one of the better Big 3 players, I think, on Superdraft last season. So he definitely was familiar with Joe's work last summer.
Yeah, he's like playing with his sister's kids in the Big 3. Like Joe gets all the buckets he wants.
There's T Panthers.
Yeah. I saw someone in the chat before. I saw someone in the chat before today when we were about to, and then Joe kissed me on the mouth. I'd have been there for it.
Did you see what T Panthers posted? Sorry, I didn't even see that he was right there. Put the picture of you eating the cookie there with the wrestling background.
Oh, that's really nice. That's a flattering picture. Eating cookies, talking to us. Yeah, right before we came on air, someone, I don't know who it was, but it's one of the people in the chat who's generally a bit of a salty cunt. I can't remember who it was, but someone was like, oh, Eddie's on air. They're going to be at least 7 minutes late. I was in the broadcast room at 5:50, 10 minutes before the scheduled time. I was in here waiting, and then the producer showed up, and then Zach showed up, and then we went live. But to be clear, just for reference, I have been late before. Maybe even the most of the 3 of us, if it was me or Zach or the producer. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But to be clear, fuck yourself. My day started at like 7:30 in the morning. I'm in the office still. It's 8 o'clock at night. I was here early. I skipped going bowling and doing all sorts of, again, I'm 10 miles from the Massachusetts border where all the drugs are legal. Basketball with you guys, so I'm just saying I appreciate your participation in our chat room.
Well, and
I was here on time.
Not to mention we were originally scheduled for 60 minutes, and we're currently
we only did 80. We only did 83, or now we're at about 104 or something like that.
Yeah. Then I guess we'll stick around here with 10 minutes and change.
Yeah,
other 2 games live.
Before we got the other 2 games.
I gotta tell you, man, it's frustrating for me. Like the last 10 days, when I'm on StreamYard here doing a stream, 80% of my streams the last 10 days, the audio and the video only for me is off. So this and like yesterday, I got through the entire show. I saw Adam the entire time. When I got on with you today, you were literally off right away. So I haven't actually seen you talking. Or it hasn't been matched up with your audio for the last 90 minutes.
I did eat a cookie at one point, you know that.
Yeah, I did. It did freeze for me correctly there when you dropped out. But does anybody like in the chat or maybe producer Tino like know how I can fix that?
Is your computer shit?
I got a new computer like 6 weeks ago.
That would not be it then, no.
And it is not shit. I updated my Chrome. Thought that worked because then my stream with Adam was great yesterday, and then today, no dice. So if anybody with more, knowledge than I have knows how to fix that, let me know.
Franz Wagner out to 11.
Apparently it was your boy T-Nib who says he was the one who questioned your possible tardiness.
Little salty. Little salty. Smart on fire? It's not exactly a sign.
What's he got, a 3?
I should have gotten a smart bet out of you. No, I mean, he projected for like 28 fantasy points for me. There was nothing brilliant. On fire probably means he has like a point. But Taco Fall, by the way, 2 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 foul in 5 minutes. And
out of the game.
Yeah, okay. Well, still, somebody 3,200. That's 8 odd fantasy points. That's pretty good for none. Marcus Smart, 3 points, 2 assists, and a steal on a 3-pointer. So that would be 8.5 fantasy points in 5 minutes if I'm mathing that there right.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Just picked up a rebound as well.
Let's go. Guy's a stud. He's a monster. We can't handle him.
Let's see. Low Rhoda, I'm going to get at you here in a little bit. Zubac and Mam or Bledsoe and Batum?
I mean, Bledsoe and Batum as we sit here. But
I agree.
Yeah, should definitely keep our ears open as we get closer.
Let's check on Magic and Hawks. Franz Wagner doing things. Hassani, 3 points and an assist in his 5 minutes.
Delon not doing much. He's the letdown so far.
Yeah, 2 turnovers, a rebound, and an assist. No shot attempts. Cam Reddish banged 2 threes to start the game. Also a block. Good start there. John Collins, 4 points and an assist. Skylar Mays, 1 rebound. Looks like a Kongwu coming in. So the Dong, 1 rebound, apparently, in his first run.
It's not exciting.
That's not great.
It is not great.
Moses Guthrie, good to see our buddy there, saying with Rjax and Kennard out, what are the chances that Brandon Boston gets a wicked boost?
Let's see. I had very little confidence in these numbers, but let me see what I had him projected for. I have his top shot moment. Only has the one, so I hope he does great.
And it takes a Kongwu 15 seconds to match the output of the gorgeous Dong with 1 rebound.
Well, it wasn't terribly hard to do. Yeah, I don't have Boston as crazy. I have Boston at 20 minutes and 16 fantasy points. So, on the edge of usable. Certainly, if you leave a man to being your best value left in the late game, if you need to utility out someone, it's going to be him or Justice Winslow or Ibaka. I guess in theory would be in that spot again. He's just coming back, and they talked about him still being. So, I mean, he is going to get minutes in the high teens, 20 if you're very lucky. So Boston might be your best value play on main slate if you end up having to spend $3,400, $3,500, $3,600. Anything under $4,000 is probably Boston at this point at 0.4% ownership too.
Yeah, I got 3 things here. Number 1, Timmy Frazier in for the Magic. Secondly, HB Cards posting, and maybe something that we should have thought about. This just has me shaky on the Taco Fall play now. They're coming back to Boston. Was it a ceremonial start?
I think it was a combination of things. I think it was we're playing again tomorrow, and whatever. But I think it was. I mean, as soon as we said it, 2 seconds later, I went, and they're in Boston. Revenge was the first thing. Like, I don't think it's irrelevant. Like, the fact they're in Boston would cause me to project him for an extra 90 seconds or something. Or nothing. I did not hear Bickerstaff say, I had a whole Bickerstaff conversation today where the same guy was talking about the Cavs. I'm like, their defense is good. I don't know why. Is Bickerstaff randomly a great coach? I don't know. I need to just watch 20 hours of Cav basketball to answer these questions. He hasn't done anything yet that I've seen that I've been like, that's really dumb. What are you doing, baby? But
and then the third thing, Tommy asking, he's got 5K left at the guard position. Who do we prefer? My answer is the 4.8K Eric Bledsoe. Yeah, so there you go.
Yep, that's what I'd have right now. Pretty clear.
If you already had Bledsoe, I would Armani Brooks.
Yep. Yep, I'm with you. News tank.
Alex asking, Nwara's in the starting lineup. Grayson off the bench. Does it change anything for you guys? Yeah, it swapped the ranks of 8 and 7 for me on those guys.
That's about what it would have been for me.
Yeah. You can't really even shift down Laurie and Wade because they have like 3 dudes total who play the 1 and the 2. Yeah. Oh, Jake saying, following up, Jake said he played a lot of Taco.
Yeah, I presumed he would be more owned than he was. I am surprised. He got the start. People like the revenge thing. That wouldn't have cost him any. He's a good fantasy producer. I didn't think he'd be 10%, but I would have thought he was 7, 8, 9% or something like that.
Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, Diane, I was surprised. Triple H said Reddish over right feels hood so far. I was going to have some questions about that, but then he corrected himself and said good.
Mm-hmm. See, Bob Williams, 3 points, an assist, a rebound, 2 turnovers. Not great, Bob. See,
glad Jake got that reference. Fire any questions. Anybody who's still with us, about 2 minutes and change till the 3rd and 4th games out of the 5 tonight. Will lock. Eddie much more than myself, Jake. He said we have to be the kings of obscure Family Guy references.
I have not seen most of the oeuvre. Like, I know some Family Guy and can do some of the impressions, but I have not actually seen that much, unfortunately.
I think I watched like the first 4 seasons and then I really fell off. So I really just got early Family Guy, like the fucking the one where Peter goes and plays for the Patriots and they do Shapoopy.
Yep,
that's my favorite scene in Family Guy that I have come across.
I enjoyed the scene where they got rid of whoever was originally dancing with Gene Kelly and had Stewie dancing with Gene Kelly in the musical theater scene. I really enjoyed that one.
Music Man, underrated. Oh boy, is Lance in? Lance is in. Already took a shot.
It's happening, everyone. People running by like I'm in the office. It's happening.
Okay, I'm pulling this game up now.
Not good for your Skylar May shares, which is a shame, but go Lance. Not good for Delon Wright. Delon may not find his way back onto the court. That's a joke, by the way. Don't freak anyone.
Turn on my league pass here. It's just in time to see Lance miss that 3. Oh, this is great. Born ready. We got Bogdan, Onyeka, Collins, Lance. And I'm not sure. You're right, P-Buck. You are correct. gotta tell you, man, I'm not super looking forward to tomorrow's slate on paper, Eddie. Because we've had these nice, like, kind of medium-sized slates the last 4 days. And with all the COVID news, it's not easy to sift through when we've got even 5 games.
It is not.
To have double-digit games on the docket tomorrow, I gotta say I wouldn't be opposed if out of an abundance of caution, a couple of those games come off the schedule tomorrow.
I cannot blame you, good sir.
Lance rebound. Shoot that, John. We need a Lance assist. Think Gillespie in there?
Yeah, Gary Harris not doing a lot. That seems right. Everyone else okay. Rolo a little disappointing in his first 7-minute shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, picked up 2 fouls, looks like.
Yeah, and turned into Gillespie, so that'll happen. 3 rebounds so far for Fast Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
The Hawks still have 2 starters with points. Gorgie Jang, Wright, and Mays all did not score in their first shifts. In fact, they took one.
DeLon's still out there.
Hmm?
DeLon's still out there.
Yeah, DeLon's still out there. Well, I think Lance he came back for it and went back. But they still haven't, like, literally, Skylar Mays took a shot and missed it. DeLon Wright and Gorgie Jang have not attempted a field goal. Cam Reddish is 3 for 6 from the field for 9 points, a block, and a rebound. John Collins has 4, 3, and 1. He has 4 shots. But yeah, the team has taken 13 shots. Reddish has 6. Collins has 4. The rest of the team has 1, 1, 1, and a lot of 0.
I guess you want to look at ownership here and then shuffle off.
Give it a read, and we'll head off. We'll shuffle off. Right. Mortal Coil.
We'll load it up here. There's optimism. Derrick Rose's return from right ankle surgery could be closer to a 6-week timetable, source tells ESPN. All right, we've got. You want to put in some guesses here? Or you just want to read them off?
Nah, you can read them off. It's 8:00. I got a flight in 11 hours. Believe it or not, I'm heading back home. I got to get up at 4:30 or whatever.
I do not envy that, sir.
Well, it happens.
Nikola Jokic tops here in these 2 games that just locked 50%. DeMarcus, what's that?
50? Yeah.
Yeah, 50. DeMarcus Cousins second at 30%. Then we're getting into both 20% owned, or all 3 20% owned. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Jordan Nwora. Josh Giddey 10%, Grayson Allen off the bench 6.5%, Lou Dort 5%. Then we're sub 4% for Will Barton, SGA, Armani Brooks, Jeff Green, Jayshawn Tate, Pat C, Monte Morris. Now we're down into the 2%, sub 2% range for Facu, Bones Highland, Aaron Gordon, Darius Bazley, Christian Wood 1.57%, not bad. Would not have to play a ton to get over the field there. And that's about it. Going to see some nice ownership coming in that late night hammer. And for good reason.
What's our total?
Fuck, I just closed it out. I got you. Hold
I'll say our total is 648.
And the number is... Survey says, you said 648?
I did.
647.24. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Some exciting guessing there. That's some bold. On the life of my kid, I don't think I even could look at this if I wanted to, but that was I mean, it's all right. It's really not that crazy. It's 5 games, 800%. That's an average of 160 a game. So, I gave it 152, and we knew the first 2 games were, I think you said 440%, and those seem kind of under. So it's really not that crazy to get within 10. To get within 1 is some sort of random fucking mark. But
I mean, I think on that note, right, we should call it quits while we're ahead.
After announcing that you and I will have a Christmas show that we will, again, we mentioned it before, but we will be recording a Christmas show
Yeah.
Different producers, same great production value.
Mm-hmm.
Midnight Christmas Eve / Christmas morning Eastern time, because I have to get on a plane like 6 hours after that again to head for some R&R. So hopefully by then we have most of the news, but I am told by a little elf that in the event something is still pending, my good friend Zach Graham would be available to perhaps jump on a stream for a few minutes before lock.
Oh, yeah.
And use his super sight to see through the cobwebs, the difficulty of the shadows, the obtenebration that could obfuscate your ability to correctly interpret, modify, adjust, and do what needs be to conquer the Christmas Day slate, which, let me tell you, that's going to be a fucking shit show. Like, they're still like, I don't know who's going to play where. Like, literally, they've told the teams, be ready to play at any time, because millions of dollars in advertising and ABC / ESPN spots, and they're like, if everyone's out for the Lakers and the Nets, fuck off down the slate. Someone else get in here. So that will be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who's still with us, Eddie, before we get out of here, if you're catching us on YouTube or Twitter for free and not a member of FTN Daily just yet, we both encourage you to come over and join us, specifically with the NBA package, right? You're getting the state-of-the-art optimizer, proprietary player and ownership projections from Kyle Murray and Alex Booker. You would have seen Kyle on the show Behind the Paywall that comes on before we go live on Wednesdays.
Yeah, there's a reason we charge for that.
Absolutely. And all those things that covers every slate, every day. We got tons of tools as well. The on-off splits, Eddie, my favorite, the advanced DVP tool, the FTN Daily NBA Discord channel where we're conversing, answering questions, not just up to lock, but throughout the night. And then plenty of debauchery going on in there after dark as well. And rankings from Eddie here and myself every single day, or at least I should say the rankings every single day that we are on one of these streams. And all of that you can get for $49.99 per month, but you can use the code FTNTV and that'll get you 15% off every month of your subscription. And that's from now until the end of the NBA Finals, not just a discount on your first month, but for the season. So again, the code's FTNTV. It gets you 15% off here. And when you do come join us, jump in that Discord, tag Eddie, tag myself, let us know you're here because we would love to have you. But with that, Eddie, not quite to what our average was last season. I believe you said that was 2 hours and 12 minutes last season was our average live with Fast Eddie Fair.
Yeah, as I get older, my endurance falls off. It's a common problem with most men. I choose not to feel personal shame.
Yeah, I think that's natural, right? So, as we continue to find our way through the NBA season, we will be back here with the Christmas stream late night on Thursday, and then Eddie and I will be back together for sure next Wednesday. But maybe Eddie crashes a stream before then. We'll see. It's the holidays, and yeah, Eddie dropping the bing bong in the chat there. For Taco, I guess, right? Taco in there coming back in to break the slate. So with that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. For Fast Eddie Fear, I'm Zach Graham. Shout out Tino behind the glass. And we'll see. He was initiated yesterday. Good luck, everybody. And as always,
let's get these beans.